Josh Hart was starting to lose his balance before the whistle. Brunson, his first shot, knocks down the three. Brunson coming off a 33.9 assist game 3. Good shooter. Brunson drives on the rookie Edgecombe, turns, shoots, and scores. Knicks now 8 of 11 from the field. By the way, McBride in the first 3 games from Edgecombe. Brunson with 7 to shoot. Jab step. He fires up a 3. Shots go. Jalen Brunson already with 8 points. Lost it again. Brunson wants some room. Uses a Robinson screen. Fires up another 3. Puts it in. Incredible shooting. Knicks can't miss. For Pride, who's starting for OG Anunoby, missing his 2nd game. George all over Hart. Pounds against Drummond. Picks it out Brunson. Corner 3. Got it. After struggling in the first 5, set the stage for what he's doing now as Jalen Brunson continues the onslaught. 19. Brunson, another excellent game. 17 points, 6 assists. A crossover, the drive. Inside. Reverse. He's got it. Sweet move from Jalen Brunson. Deflected by McBride. Brunson a 3. Bang. It's a 29-point lead the way the Knicks have shot it today. Oh, Jalen Brunson, perhaps the greatest free agent signing in Knicks history, one of the great.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sports Dialogue. My name is Paul Edwards, and as promised, I'm here to discuss the 2026 NBA playoffs, and we're in the second round. There are 4 series. We're moving forward in the semifinals, and the 2 in the East and 2 in the West. There are 2 winners thus far, the New York Knicks and OKC Thunder, and there are 2 semifinal series that are still continuing. So I'm here to discuss the semifinals in the East and the West, take a peek going forward on what the finals in the East and the West may look like, and then ultimately the NBA Finals. But before we start, I'll give you an outline of what I'm going to do in this episode. I'm going to talk about, in the first segment, the New York Knicks versus the 76ers, and then move on to Cleveland, Detroit, then out to the West, Spurs and Timberwolves, and OKC and the Lakers. You know, it's been a very, very exciting playoff series thus far, I must say. I've enjoyed it. The intensity is there. The players are working hard. Coaches are working hard. The games have been really good. I would encourage basketball fans and semi-casual basketball fans to take a look at the NBA playoffs. As we just saw, started in this first segment to discuss the New York Knicks and the 76ers. You know, as I always say, there are no losers. Congratulations to the New York Knicks. Obviously, I'm a Knicks fan. Congratulations to all of the Knicks fans. But also congratulations to the Sixers, their organization, and their fans. They should be proud. It's nothing to sneeze at to get into the playoffs, number one, and get past the first round and get into the second round. You know, you have to give Embiid credit. You know, he's battled injuries. He seems like a very kind and nice gentleman. He had the surgery and came back. Obviously, he wasn't at full strength. You had Paul George, who's been in the league for quite a few years, playing at a high level. Then you have the younger players, Maxey, and, they just played well, but the Knicks just played better. And so much, much better. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But just want to say congratulations to our New York Knicks. And moving forward, I just want to take a look at, before we move forward, I want to take a look back at, as we just saw the highlights of Jalen Brunson, just take a look at what he did numbers-wise. In Game 1, it seems to me that Mr. Brunson had 35 points and 1 turnover. And let's see what he did in Game 2. In Game 2, he had 26 points and 3 turnovers. Game 3, 33 points, 3 turnovers. And Game 4, take a quick peek at what he did in Game 4, 22 points. So, and he had no turnovers. So he's taking care of the ball and he's scoring. He's a big part of the team. But it's not just Mr. Brunson. It's a number of players on the team. But before I continue to go forward, I want to take a look back at what I said in the first round when the Knicks were playing the Atlanta Hawks, and the Knicks went down 2-1. And I had comments. So I'm going to share the comments with you now. Hello, everyone. Today is Saturday, April 25th. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. The games have been competitive thus far. Good mix of young talent in the NBA, along with veteran talent. and some of those veterans are still playing at a very high level. The games have been competitive thus far. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll be able to see when I post coming episodes of Sports Dialogue, which I'll be doing later on in the NBA playoffs. If you're not a sports fan, casual sports fan, I think this year in particular, thus far, the games have been very interesting, competitive, and you probably will enjoy them. Obviously, I'm a Knicks fan, if you don't know, but I enjoy the game of basketball and I root for certain teams, but I am a Knicks fan at heart. And I wanted to share some comments about the Knicks versus a very, very good Atlanta Hawks basketball team, which is going to be playing at 6 Eastern today, Saturday, the 25th of April. The Knicks are down 2-1. Seems the Knicks won the first game at home at the Garden, lost the second game in a close one at the end. At the last shot, they could have won it, but they didn't make it. They lost a close one in Game 3 in Atlanta, and now they're down 2-1. But I'm here to tell you not to worry. The good news is that if you're a Knicks fan, not to worry. The good news is that the Knicks haven't played as well as they can, and they won the first one and had good chances to win the second and the third one without playing as well as they can. So, and maybe that's because you have a good Atlanta team stopping them from playing as well as they can. I'm not so sure that's the case, but I'm sure if you talk to Atlanta, that's what they'll tell you. And if I was with Atlanta, I'd tell you the same thing. It's because of us why they're not playing well as they can. The Knicks just need to basically get back to what they normally do and be consistent and be in a little bit of a hurry. Don't be too laid back, be in a little bit of a hurry, not mean speed up the game, but the intensity has to be there for 4 quarters. Now, I won't say if I were coaching, but if I was giving a suggestion to the Knicks, and I know the Knicks are probably just as well as many teams are getting suggestions from everywhere right now, but I do have an eye for the game, and I am a Knicks fan, so I'm going to give the Knicks a suggestion or two. I've seen Atlanta. I do watch the Knicks games, and I've seen Atlanta in this series drive to the hole, meaning the basket, the rim, and they're doing it without fear. And they're making McCullough's making perimeter shots, but they are hurting the Knicks by getting to the rim. And we have a rim protector that's what he does, Mitchell Robinson. And I just don't see him on the floor enough, one, and number two, and I don't mean put him on the floor in place of Cat. I mean put him on the floor with Cat. That would be my suggestion, because now you have Cat, which is really a dominant player, on the floor with a rim protector. So I think Atlanta would have to shoot a higher percentage from the mid-range and the three to beat the Knicks. Right now, they're just, if you watch the games, they're just taking it right to the rim. And sometimes getting offensive rebounds. And I watch the game and I look over on the sidelines. I see Mitchell Robinson sitting on the bench. I don't see him in the game. And then when he does come in, I see Cat out the game. And no, we can't play them both all the time together, but I think they need to play more together. And I think you'd see a difference. As far as Mikal Bridges, I would tell him, listen to the noise. You are a very, very good player, offensively and defensively. Right now, you're not shooting as well as you can, but that most NBA players go through that. You are a scorer, a shooter, and a defender. Keep shooting quality shots. Don't force it, but do not pass up a quality shot when it comes your way. Continue to shoot. If you don't make the shot, just play that much harder on defense. Whether you're making shots or not, you can still play defense. So, and Mikal Bridges is a very, very good defender. So, Mr. Bridges, don't listen to the noise. Keep shooting and keep playing. Even if you're not making the shots, raise your defensive level. It's already good. Even raise it to another level. Play defense, continue to shoot, and you'll do well. Listen, folks, stay tuned. As I said, subscribe to the channel. Coming soon. There'll be posts later in the NBA playoffs of Sports Dialogue. Thank you. God bless you. So as you can see, I indicated that I wasn't overly concerned about the Knicks losing and down 2-1. And I shared that, as you saw. And the reason why I felt that was, as I said, that I just didn't think the Knicks were playing at the intensity level. I said speed it up a little bit. I didn't mean speed it up like run up and down the court. I mean, hurry up and get to that intensity level that we need to be playing at in the playoffs. And they weren't there. And I knew that So when they went down 2-1, I thought it was a little wake-up call, and boy, did they switch to that intensity level. And, I still think that the Knicks, it's hard to, Coach Brown's doing a great job, but you can always improve. Every single coach can always improve. Any coach in past history, current, and in the future. So there's no knock here at all. I mean, they're sitting at home resting, waiting to go to the conference finals. So there's no knock here. But I think there's an opportunity to play, as I said, Mitchell Robinson and Cat together because, even if you go into against Cleveland, you got two bigs there, Allen and Mobley. And then if you go against Detroit, you got Harris and they're five in the middle. So they're two bigs. And even out west, you have OKC and Wemby with the Spurs. OKC plays their two bigs. It would be nice to have Robinson protecting the rim and Cat defending on the perimeter. He can defend on the perimeter, Cat, against Tobias Harris, make it tough for Tobias if he played Detroit, or against Mobley if he played Cleveland. And then obviously over in OKC, you have the big man in the middle who used to play for the Knicks. Robinson could be there guarding him. And then, they have their other big man that plays on the perimeter that Cat could guard. Cat could move his feet on the perimeter. So I think that there is an area of opportunity there. Other teams are using the two bigs. And those teams that are using the two bigs are still in the playoffs. And they don't use them 100% of the time. There's no question about that. But I'm saying at stretches. I mean, I just look before we get to the West, OKC beat the Lakers. And if you watch that game, OKC went back to their two bigs at the end. And when the great LeBron James drove, down the stretch, he had his man beat. But Hartenstein came over and from the weak side and challenged. And LeBron had to change, the arc on his shot. He had his man beat, and he was taller than the defender. But here came the rim protector from the weak side, behind the defender, leaping up. And that's what Robinson can do around the rim. But anyways, just my suggestion to the Knicks. As far as Mr. Bridges, you heard what I said. I told him, keep shooting. And let's see what he did in game one. He had 17 points in game one against, 17 points in game one against Philly. In game two, he had 18 points. And in game three, and this is against the Sixers, in game three, let's see what he had in game three. He had 23 points. And then in game four, his point production went down up to 12 points. But however, in game four, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double figures. So, Mr. Bridges kept shooting and playing defense, and that really helped us out quite a bit. The Knicks are really, really playing at a really high level. And, they just have a number of players in double figures. Just to give you a sense, in game one, the Knicks had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures. No, game one. No, that's not game one. In game one, they had, let's make sure this is game one. I want to give you the proper data. Yeah, this is game one. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players in double figures. So, that is really scoring from a lot of different avenues. In game two, one second. In game two, they had 1, 2, 3, 4 players in double figures. So that was a drop down. But however, in game three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double figures. In game four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double figures. So they're getting scoring double figure scoring from a lot of sources. And I think that is one of the reasons why the Knicks are winning. But what you can't see from the box scores and the stats, you cannot see the intensity that they're playing with now. They're at a whole different level. I think it was game 3 in Philadelphia. Philadelphia came out, with quite a bit of intensity. They were looking to get game 3. That's the first game on their home court. And if you don't win game 3, it's hard to come back down 3-0. And Philadelphia came out swinging in game 3. And the Knicks matched the intensity. The Knicks went down double figures, but they matched the intensity. They took the onslaught and slowly came back and then flipped the script. So the Knicks, I gave the Knicks a lot of credit in game 3 just from an defensive intensity standpoint and atmosphere, although we had a lot of Knicks fans in Philadelphia, there was obviously that was their home court, and they had a lot of fans, certainly more fans than they have at the Madison Square Garden. So Philly came out, and the Knicks impressed me while the way they handled that onslaught. So I think that, going forward, my suggestion to the Knicks is keep that intensity level where it is, or even try to get a little bit higher. And I think the coach Brown and his staff is doing a good job by playing so many players. And that is extremely important. And each of those players, Landry Shamet, he's coming off, he's showing everybody that, hey, I'm not a bench guy. I'm in the mix too. I remember in the Atlanta series when he came off the bench at the end of the game. They call it garbage time. I don't think any time in an NBA game is garbage time. But he came off just firing like, hey, listen, I'm letting you know I'm ready. You can put me in earlier when the game is in doubt. And he's still doing that. Mr. Shamet is really doing well. McBride, they're just don't. I just named them all. They're all playing at a high level. And the reason why it's important for everyone to contribute is when you play at this high of a level, and athletes know this, consistently every other day, it's a wear and tear on the body. And if you have 5 or 6 guys playing all these minutes with the extra intensity level, it's a recipe to lead to possibly more injury. And you can see the number of injuries around the league right now. I hope they all get better. So I think the Knicks and the coaching staff are doing a great job in saying, hey, we're going to play 10, 11 guys. The gentlemen that are coming off the bench, they relish this time. They're letting it fly. And it's all a team. No one's saying, hey, listen, we deserve to start over somebody else. But everybody's saying, I'm capable of starting. I may not be started. I probably shouldn't be started, but I'm capable of it. And here's why. I'm showing you when I'm out there. So that's a great mentality for all of the players to have. That, when my number is called, I'm going to show you that I could be a starter. And that's kind of the way the Knicks are playing. They have to keep that intensity level. There is no question about it. Still got a ways to go. You still got the conference finals against either a good Cleveland team or a good Detroit team. So congratulations to the New York Knicks. I'll be back in the next segment to discuss Cleveland and Detroit. You may or may not know, I have a book release coming soon. So I'm going to share a little bit of that with you, and I'll be back to discuss Cleveland and Detroit.
The Truth Plan shows us how to help to eliminate the inequities in affordable housing, unemployment, healthcare, education, the media, small businesses, access to capital, and much more. The Truth Plan also shows us how the elimination of these inequities also benefits the higher income community. The goals and objectives for equity are crucial in addressing the disparities that exist in our society. A primary focus must be on eliminating the racial, wealth, and equity gaps that disproportionately affect low-income and minority communities. This involves a comprehensive approach that includes ensuring access to affordable housing, improving employment opportunities, and enhancing healthcare access for underrepresented groups. By prioritizing these areas, we can create a more equitable foundation for all individuals, regardless of their background or economic status.
The Truth Plan is a self-help plan to eliminate the racial, wealth, and equity gap that exists between the low-income, the middle-income, the Black and brown communities, and the higher-income communities. The Truth Plan believes that all communities should prosper. The success of the Truth Plan will help to eliminate the inequities between the aforementioned communities in the areas of affordable housing, unemployment, healthcare, education, the media, small businesses, access to capital, and more. The higher income communities will also benefit. Prosperity for all. Never settle for less.
Okay, in this segment, I'm going to discuss Cleveland and Detroit. That's turning into a pretty good series. Game 4, we saw that recently. That went down to the wire. That series is tied 2-2. Detroit was up 2-1, and Cleveland stepped up and won the second game. So there were 2 games won in Detroit by Detroit and 2 games in Cleveland by Cleveland. If you take a look at game 4, you may or may not realize this, but I'm going to bring it to your attention. In that game 4, Detroit shot 50.6% in field goal percentages. That's about 7% higher than Cleveland. And 43% from the three-point line Detroit shot, and which is almost 11 percentage points higher than Cleveland. So why did Cleveland win? Cleveland won. Obviously, you can't see why they won from the numbers. But from the numbers and from what I saw, I thought that Cleveland played with good intensity. There's no question about that, which you cannot see from the numbers. And they had contributions from other players, Mobley, Allen, and I won't go into naming all the players. They had contributions. But the glaring reason why Cleveland won to me is, and we have James Harden, which is, still an elite player, but Donovan Mitchell had 43 points. 43 points Donovan Mitchell had in game 4.
Cunningham just so efficient in the mid-range off the bounce.
Pocket pass, Mobley kick it out. Mitchell 3. Bullseye.
But I love the look. It's the short roll to Mobley.
Now Harden got off to that quick start. He's got 15 points and 6 assists. And there is Mitchell with a 2.
And what a great cut there. Boxes and elbows defensively. Detroit packing it in. Fight by Evan Mobley. Could have been an offensive rebound. Now Cleveland with the early offense.
And right on cue, it is Mitchell getting into the paint and floating it in, plus the foul.
Going, and off the stop, Cleveland wants to run. Mitchell getting to the body and the...
With those early fouls. Good ball movement around. Mitchell with a good look. Bottom.
But they recognize the hot hand, feed their superstar, and he delivers.
Now it's Mitchell in control. 8 points already in the third. Mitchell will tee it up again and knocks it down.
That's your superpower, and he's achieving it.
Yeah, the scoring is not necessarily a concern. He affects the game other ways, but this guy affects the game by putting the ball in the hole.
From the help side, and then Donovan Mitchell, you said it best. Seen that ball go through.
LeVert with the good hands. Mitchell, drive past Jenkins, spin around LeVert, and finish over the top.
Relatively quiet in that first half, but the spin, the explosive, aggressive, 2 hands on Jared Allen.
Mitchell says, I'll go right back at it for 2.
I mean, he is on a heater right now and doing it against a shot blocker there in Reed, and doesn't matter.
Wants to go back to work against Harris. Mitchell the cross, the drive, the float, gets the roll.
Detroit did a great job, as you said, Robbie, in the first half, keeping Donovan Mitchell out of the paint. And now just taking his time, really going wherever he wants.
Long rebound, Mitchell has it. Mitchell attacks, the swipe, the finish. Donovan Mitchell.
Mobley just lingering there in the backcourt. And Donovan Mitchell with
Strus, hook it, Merrill, drive it, regain it, but he couldn't finish it. Second chance, 6 to shoot. Mitchell through the contact, unstoppable. Cunningham is accepting the defensive challenge. Mitchell step back, raindrops. A playoff career high.
What a second half here. Donovan Mitchell, just change of direction there. Create a little bit of separation with the step back. Not an easy shot right there. And he knows that he is having a... Thompson, that was not an easy finish there with that left hand, but you're right.
Allen, shovel, Mitchell again.
And if you take a look at game 1, he's being pretty consistent. In game 1, for him, he had 23 points, which is pretty low for him. But for most players, that's a good game. In game 2, Donovan Mitchell had 31 points in game 2. And then in game 3, he had 35 points, and he topped it off in game 4, which I think was the difference, with 43 points. Cleveland, with Mobley and Allen, they play the 2 bigs in the middle, and then they have, a number of players that are now contributing. Strus, he's contributing. LeVert. They have a number of players who are now coming off the bench. I don't think not as many as the Knicks that are contributing. I do believe, though, that Detroit still has the edge, and I do think that Detroit will win the coming game, Game 5, in Detroit. And depending upon how that intensity goes, I give Detroit certainly a chance to win it in 6, if not 6-7. And that depends upon how Game 5 goes. I think strongly, though, I don't like to get ahead of myself, but I think that Detroit, if they shoot similar numbers, 50% and 43% from 3, or maybe to bump the 3-point up, or maybe, 49% from 3, 50%. But if they shoot in that range and keep the intensity level high, Detroit will win that series, I think. But however, Cleveland, this may sound contradictory, but Cleveland is capable of winning the series. But, it's taken explosions from Donovan Mitchell, although you still have Harden that can explode also, to have Cleveland in this position. So I suspect that Detroit and their coaching staff is going to make some adjustments to Donovan Mitchell. You can't adjust too much because you have James Harden. And then again, I keep going back to it. They play the two bigs. You have Mobley on the perimeter, and then he can shoot the perimeter or drive the hole. And then you have Allen, who kind of just patrols the rim. And that's kind of what Cat and Mitchell Robinson can do. And I think it's Holmgren and Stein, the ex-Knick over in OKC. That's what they do. And then Wemby, he's something special. We'll get there when we get to the West. But I do think that Detroit will prevail in that series, but Cleveland is capable of winning. But seeing that the outburst and the intensity level, and Detroit was still there at the end, even with Donovan Mitchell scoring 45 points. And I don't think Detroit had their best game at all. I think in Game 4, Cunningham only had 19 points, and that's kind of low for him. But he's going to pick it up. And the one other glaring thing I see about Detroit is they're getting contributions from others now. Jenkins, they're getting contributions. They're from deeper into the bench, and that's seriously important in the playoffs. So again, at the risk of repeating myself, in that series, I think that what we're going to see is Detroit advancing in 6 or 7. In the next segment, I'm going to discuss the Spurs versus the Timberwolves. Okay, make sure you always remember to exercise. Exercise is really important for us, getting an opportunity to live a healthier life and hopefully a longer life. So God bless you. Stay tuned for the next episode coming soon, and be well. Pray to the Lord, have faith, and just enjoy life. Thank you, and God bless you.